I'm Kenny Green. Y'all get ready. I got my Spanx on today, so I don't know how long it's going to last because it pushes stuff where it's not supposed to go. So if I hit 10 minutes, y'all in the first two rows might want to scoot back just a little bit. Because when the Spanx goes, it's like popping a can of biscuits on the counter. It just goes. I came to Unity 7 years ago through a friend, Sue Ellen. She said, I got a place that I think you can go. And I go, because I've been looking for a church home for 10, 15 years. Only thing is I never went to churches to try anything out. And then I also worked at DSW at the same time as the manager, and Barbara Luter's worked there. And I said, Barbara, I think I might have found a church. And Byron Holder was directing plays, and I do a little bit of acting, and he had cast me in 2 or 3 of his plays, and we always rehearsed right back there in Fellowship Hall. So the universe was rearranging everything so that I could come to Unity. And so finally I gave in to Sue Ellen, and I came here and, walked in the door, and of course she introduced me to Reverend Carol. And I thought, this is where I need to be because Reverend Carol's the only one that can save this wretched soul. But I found out later, Spirit revealed to me that wasn't the reason I came here. And I came back the next week, and Reverend Carol knew my name. And I thought, geez. And so then I stayed, and I've been here ever since then. But I'm a perfect example of a survivor of being Baptist. I was raised in the Baptist church, Southern Baptist at that, the ones that wanted to keep slaves. And so, it was an integral part of my life being woven into the daily activities that you did. There were Sunday services, like morning and night, Tuesday night visitation, Wednesday night services. There was always something going on at the Baptist church because it kept the devil at bay. The devil wouldn't bother you if you were doing something Baptist. And then, one of my favorite quotes by Charles Milmore is, I stand here and sizzle with zeal and I spring forth with a mighty faith doing what I need to do today. And I don't know if you've ever sizzled with zeal, but if you haven't, it's not going to happen in the next 10 minutes. So, try it somewhere else. A spiritual gift of mine is to cause mirth and laughter, I really believe. And so I hope to get a smile and a laughter out of you today. I'm not what I want to be, but I'm not what I used to be. I know that for sure. At 12 years old, at Baptists, you have to be baptized, and Methodists, you have to be methed, and Protestants, you have to be protested. So at 12, I was baptized. My brother was 1.5 years younger than me, and we were baptized together. My mom dressed us as twins until he got taller than me. And so there I was in the baptistry, 12 years old in my underwear, and all I was doing was praying to God that I didn't pop a boner. That's all I didn't want to do, because I was 12. It happened a lot. And at 13, and at 14. So anyway, Baptists go full immersion. We don't sprinkle, and, we don't dry clean like they do here. But, no untoward event happened at the baptism, in case you were waiting for that. But mine took, and my brother's didn't. Not till about 30 years later, and now he's a deacon of the Baptist church. And a miracle actually happened at my home this morning right before I came. I was getting ready, for church, and my mom knew I'd been written all this. She didn't know what I wrote about her, but she knew I'd written all this. And she goes, Kenny, I think I'm going to start coming to your church. So, people can change. People can change. She is a staunch Baptist, but she's changed a lot over the time. Pretty soon after I got baptized, my dad was called for his second tour of Vietnam. We were military, grew up military. Before I got out of 6th grade, I'd gone to 11 elementary schools. Hated it, but it did me a world of good as a grown-up because I can get in a room and I can see who I need to know, who I don't need to know, and I know everybody's buttons within 30 minutes. So, that's what came from that. And while my dad was in Vietnam, somehow, I guess with the help of my cousin Sherry, I talked my mom into letting us be Methodists for a year. Methodists are just Baptists that can read. That's all there is to it. So, but we could dance. I had to dance. And as Baptists, you just couldn't dance. That was, it was right next to having sex. So you just didn't do it. I was a voracious reader. And then when Dad got back from Vietnam, we got sent over to Fort Walters Mineral Wells because evidently helicopter pilots didn't live a long time in Vietnam, and Dad had to train some more of them. So we were in Fort Walters for a while, and that was when I was around 12, 14, something like that. And I started having questions about my parents' religion, not their faith so much, but their religion, and always came up empty-handed with answers. So they allowed me twice to go to another church besides the Baptist church. First one was First Christian, and I loved First Christian Church. I mean, they got to memorize, in Sunday school, the kids got to memorize the books of the Bible in order. And I thought that was cool because at the Baptist church, we made jewelry boxes out of macaroni and cigar boxes. So that was the church. And then I got to go to Catholic church. And I remember the guy in my class, David Pickle. I stayed the night at his class, and then I went to Catholic church the next morning with them. And man alive, this was old school. I loved it, loved it, loved it. There were these guys in dresses walking up and down the aisles, big hats, and they were swinging jewelry with smoke coming out of it. And man, I was in hog heaven. And all that up and down stuff, I mean, it was as close to a circus or a carnival that you could get to in church as a kid. So I went home that night, told him I was going to be Catholic. I was taking catechism classes next week, and I would be Catholic after that. And it didn't happen, of course, and that was the last time I got to go to a church outside of the Baptist church. And every sleepover I had, it had to be at a Baptist house, so that stopped that. Sorry about this. I meant to have it memorized, and I didn't. My mom even called the preacher for that time and asked if I needed to be rebaptized because I went to a Catholic church. I didn't have to be, but I still got fish sticks on Friday, and so you take the small victories wherever you can find them in life. Fast forward, bump, 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 times 2, times 4, times 8, times 16. Okay, now I'm out of high school. I went to college, went to med school down in Galveston, then I became a doctor. And this was early 80s, and this little virus was making itself known, HIV. And all of a sudden, I found myself in a practice that only treated HIV-infected patients. And this was before AZT. And so people dropped like flies. In 8 years, I buried over 2,000 people. And these were friends. And that takes a lot out of you. And try to keep it cool. And so one day I was leaving another funeral. I was driving down Inwood, going home, that part of Inwood between the medical school and here, right in there by St. Paul's, or what used to be St. Paul's. And I was wailing, crying, whatever. And I remember I looked up and I said, so is this what you got for me? Is this all there is for the rest of my life? And in that moment, I was transported to a place that was white, but it wasn't white. It was electric, but it wasn't electric. There was music, and there wasn't music. I couldn't see anyone, but I knew everyone. And I was driving down Inwood. And so I knew where I was. But I looked down at my left thigh, because I did, and there wasn't a left thigh there. And so, bam, my ego got me and got me back in my car just like that. So for years, 25 years, I tried to figure out what this was, what had happened. Could it be grief, delayed grief? My partner of 10 years had committed suicide in May of that year. Could it be an hallucination? Could it be a psychotic break? I didn't know what it was for 25 years. But when I got here, Spirit revealed to me that it was just a memory. It was where I was before and where I'll go again. And so that has kept me, things get dark for people, they really do. But that has kept me in a positive mood and joy because I know where I was. I got a glimpse of heaven, and it's what everybody says it is. It's unbelievable. So if you're ever out and about, if you're ever in Dallas, if you're driving down Inwood and you see me, don't honk, whatever you do, okay? Thank you, that's it.